So for this study, I'm identifying the strengths and motivators and demotivators in online learning. So my research questions, do computer self-efficacy or academic self-efficacy predict success in online courses? And then I want to look and see if there's an interaction variable between these two. If a student has both, are they more likely to be successful? Does cognitive overload predict academic failure? And then are there differences in mean cognitive overload between students' age, their gender, poor academic history, or ethnicity? California community colleges offered nearly a million courses online in 2013 and 2014. The governor has put over $50 million in online education, with another $120 million promised. Most money is going to infrastructure and professional development, which means we're paying a lot of money to buy technology and train teachers how to teach. In the meantime, success rates are low at 60%, and even lower, nearly 20% lower for different disproportionately impacted groups. So we need to identify key motivators and demotivators in success for online coursework for students, so we can apply those resources appropriately. We want to train teachers, but we also want to make sure that students know how to be online students. For my theoretical framework, I'll be using Bandura's self-efficacy theory. And Bandura explains that students who possess a sense of self-efficacy are given a skill set are likely to embrace challenges. And I'm going to argue there's three kinds of challenges that exist in the online environment: technological challenges, course content challenges, and interface challenges. I will argue that these three bullets act as demotivators in the online environment, and that students with low self-efficacy in these areas and a sense of cognitive overload are less likely to be successful in the online environment. So Public Policy Institute of California has showed sort of the past success rates of online courses for the community college. Sweller et al. Argue that when the working memory is given more information that can be handled becomes overloaded and distressed. That's talking about cognitive load. Kim and Frick argue that cognitive load theory can interfere with students' motivation to learn by inhibiting their attention to instructional material. And then my other theorists here, they start arguing that, it's really that idea of previous academic experience also is a factor, and it can make a student more susceptible to cognitive overload in the online environment because that student is really dealing with more than one challenge. My participants will be students in State Center Community College District taking asynchronous online courses. I will use three instruments: the information overload measure. I'll measure students twice to see their measure of overload. How stressed are they by this class? And then the computer technology use scale and the motivated strategies for learning questionnaire will determine their self-efficacy for computer technology use as well as academic self-efficacy. For data analysis, I want to use a multiple regression technique to see which factors have the most predicted value, and I'll also use a MANOVA to look for mean differences between groups like gender and age. Older students sometimes can be more likely to also struggle with cognitive overload because they may have a lower technology self-efficacy. It'll be a voluntary survey, so students who are most disengaged from the course may not respond. Potential threats: wraparound online services like tutoring or counseling might change the success rates of the courses if student is getting extra help. Struggling in a specific subject, maybe the student just doesn't have the knowledge in that subject to be successful. And these results have to be careful when they're generalized because community college students do not necessarily represent the majority of higher ed students. I think there are some interesting implications for this particular study. We find students are more likely to be susceptible to cognitive overload. co-requisite courses or additional technology training may be in order. And for social justice, it's really imperative that we understand the effects of cognitive overload, particularly on our most vulnerable populations, because these are the populations that are being targeted by many of these new initiatives. And we need to understand if these students come to these courses with lower self-efficacy in computer technology or in basic skills, what is likely that effect is going to be on their success in an online course.